Hi, my name is William Mays and I'm a DUI defense attorney in Michigan. Today I'm going to talk to you about Van Buren Township drunk driving charges. If you're charged in Van Buren Township with a drunk driving offense, your case is going to be heard at the 34th District Court in Romulus. The 34th District Court has three different judges, Judge Tina Brooks Green, Judge David M. Parrott, and Judge Brian Oakley. All three of these judges are relatively decent judges. Judge Parrott is a little tough on bond conditions and probation. I've taken some bench trials in front of Judge Oakley and actually received not guilty verdicts. And Judge Green, I've had a ton of motions in front of Judge Green, Judge Oakley, and Judge Parrott. I practice regularly in this court. The Van Buren Township prosecutor, local prosecutor or state prosecutor, there's two prosecutors that could actually handle your case depending upon the nature of the charges. The Van Buren Township prosecutor and I get along great. You've got no concerns there. We've done a lot of trials against each other. State prosecutor, it's a little bit more difficult to tell. The Wayne County prosecutor, Kim Worthy, is an elected official, handles all the state charges, and if you're charged with like a felony drunk driving, that's definitely going to be handled by the state. But it's tough to say with a misdemeanor charge who the assistant prosecutor is actually going to be because they rotate people in and out of the courtroom all the time. Now let's address some of the things that you might be concerned about right now. You were probably given a temporary driver's license by the police officer following your arrest. That is a valid driver's license. It is something that you're allowed to drive on through the course of this case, and unless or until there's a conviction, there's not going to be any restrictions or suspension on your license. That said, however, I want you to take a quick look at the upper left-hand corner of the form and see if it's got tiny little print DI 177 or DI 93. If it says DI 177, you're in good shape. That's a voluntary breath, blood, or urine test. But if it says DI 93, then you need to get a hold of me right away. You've got 14 days to request a hearing in writing with the Secretary of State, or else your license will be suspended for 1 year and 6 points will be added to your license. So it's important that we get that paperwork into the Secretary of State right away. This is not handled at the 34th District Court. It's handled at the Michigan Secretary of State. They've got a special branch up in the Livonia, just a mile or two north of my Livonia office. Now let's talk about general penalties for an OWI charge. I'm not going to address felonies in this video, but a first-time drunk driving offense. You could be charged with super drunk, high BAC over 0.17. You could be charged with OWI, or you could be charged with operating while visibly impaired. Super drunk. This is the most serious of the various offenses. It's a relatively new charge under Michigan law, and the penalties are very harsh. It carries a 45-day hard suspension on your driver's license, no driving whatsoever, and the balance of a year is suspended unless you agree to install a breath interlock testing device in your car. I actually encourage my clients that are convicted, and I've only had a few that have been convicted of this, but I encourage them not to do the breath machine, to take the full year. Because if you take the breath machine, then you also subject yourself to the jurisdiction of the Michigan Secretary of State, and you don't get your license back until you go before the Secretary of State and prove to them that you should have the breath machine removed. In addition to that lengthy suspension process and the driving sanctions, it's up to a $700 fine plus court costs and up to 180 days in jail. Probation up to 2 years. It's bad when you're actually convicted of super drunk. Operating while intoxicated, otherwise known as a DUI or commonly known as a DUI. This carries a 30-day suspension, up to 93 days in jail, 6 points on the license, up to 360 hours of community service, and up to 2 years probation. Fines and costs will range, well, it's a maximum $500 fine, but you add on the court costs and it's about $1,500. The 30-day suspension is a hard suspension. Then you've got operating while visibly impaired. Now, a lot of people are tempted to take the impaired because there's no suspension, but that's putting the cart before the horse. You need to explore your defenses first before you decide whether or not you're going to take a plea to impaired. Impaired is 90 days restricted, no suspension, up to 93 days in jail, 4 points on your license, a $300 fine plus court costs, probation up to 2 years, and up to 360 hours community service. So, Those are the three typical drunk driving charges. You have defenses, okay? Just because you might have blown over the legal limit, or just because they drew your blood or something like that, I don't want you to believe that you don't have defenses. There are good, valuable defenses to a drunk driving case. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've studied the science of breath and blood testing. I own a couple of data masters. I've got one here in my office in Romulus. I've got another one up in Livonia. And I own like all the PBT devices. There's a real science to this, okay? And there's a way of procedurally attacking the officer's investigation. So for example, when it comes to the officer's investigation, I'm certified in the standardized field sobriety test battery. I know the phases of the DUI investigation and how police officers are, what they're looking for out on the road for the vehicle in motion, what they're looking for during the personal contact phase, and the specific ways that they're supposed to administer the standardized field sobriety test battery. Each one of these things can be explored through videotapes that are available from the patrol cars, as well as station house videos of maybe you doing the breath test, something along those lines. This is why it's so important to hire an attorney at the earliest possible convenient time so that you can start to mount these defenses. If you fail to hire an attorney right away, and frankly, I think that in terms of who you should hire, I'm the most qualified DUI defense attorney in the state of Michigan. I know that there's a lot of people out there saying otherwise, that they're claiming to be the best DUI attorney in the state of Michigan, but I can actually put my money where my mouth is. I can show you a history of 20 years of cases that of successfully taking these cases to trial, getting cases dismissed in motions and that sort of thing. But it's important that you hire me right away so that I can get access to these videotapes. After 30 days, they start to get recycled. If you don't act promptly, you might miss out on some of the best evidence that's going to help your case. So, my name is William Mays. Thank you for watching this video. I look forward to talking to you. Give me a call at any one of my Detroit metro offices, Romulus, Livonia, or downtown Detroit. Thanks for watching.